Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Andra Bohnet, and I'm the flute professor at the University of South Alabama. You just watched the video of my performance of this etude, and in a moment, I'm going to put the music up on the screen, and I'll talk through it with you to help in your preparation for your All-State audition. Stay tuned. So a couple things to take note of right away. The key, C sharp minor. This is a tricky key to play in tune because its tonic is C sharp, which, as we all hopefully know by now, is super sharp on our flutes unless we pay attention to it. So really make sure to think about the pitch of all these C sharps being on the lower side, and especially that we get a good interval between the C sharp here and the D sharp here, because we're going from having no fingers down on the flute to all of them but our first finger. So big change, and it can be a dodgy interval if you're not careful. Also, with the key of C sharp minor, we should also expect to see many other things like B sharps and A sharps, and in the case of this, we have some F double sharps and C double sharps along the way too. So just be really, really careful that A, you're playing in your key signature, and B, you're aware of what needs to be altered because of various accidentals in the piece. The recommended tempo they gave was 76 for the quarter note. I think it's a wee bit fast. I think I recorded it about 72. It just felt a little more relaxed to me. I felt a little hurried at 76. Mostly because there was no time to breathe. There's some places where you have phrase points at the end of an eighth note, and man, that's a quick turnaround. A couple other places like that. So just be aware of that. Speaking of breaths, obviously we're not going to take this very first one because that would be left over if you'd played the rest of the piece before this, which of course we're not. So I would just start out and make a beautiful 4-bar phrase right off the bat. That may be the last one you make for a while because you get into an air deficit thing. So you can see I've written in a lot of breath marks. Most of my phrases are about 2 bars. Occasionally there's some longer ones. Like this one, it's really quiet and it's really low, and there's really nowhere to break it until you get here. So this is a toughie, which is why this one's short, and there's some short ones after it. Couple other things to think of. You have so many rhythms in this piece. Straight quarter notes, straight eighth notes, eighths with 2/16ths, with a little grace note in between, lots of triplets, and some dotted figures. It's really, really important that the dotted figures be very genuine. In fact, I would think about over dotting them, double dotting them to make the 16th note really short in comparison with the dotted eighth, just to make sure they don't sound like lazy triplets. Also, you have some accents, but they're really more like breath throb kind of accents instead of really hard tonguing. Especially if you look at here, it's piano, and this says lamentabile, which basically means lamenting or crying. So you want to sound kind of sad and mournful. So hard tonguing accents is not going to work there. This is probably the most difficult part from halfway through measure 62 until this breath mark at 65, because there's, again, really nowhere to break it. You have a whole bunch of rhythms. They're just not, just make sure you're subdividing, make sure you know where your beats are. Don't rush your triplet. It's very easy to do. You got a little wiggle here from G sharp to A, not too bad. Thank goodness this is just chromatic. All right, let's talk about the turn. So if you've never played a turn before, it plays exactly what it looks like. In this case, it's on a C sharp. So we're going to start on a C sharp. We're going to go up to D sharp because that's in our key signature. We're going to come back to C sharp. We're going to go down to some kind of a B. But in the case of this turn, it has to be a B sharp because there's this little tiny sharp underneath the turn sign, and then back to C sharp. So basically this C sharp here is replaced with 5 notes: C sharp, D sharp, C sharp, B sharp, and C sharp. And I like to play them. This note is worth 3/16 notes because it's a dotted eighth note. I like to play a 16th note on the first C sharp. I like to make a little triplet out of the D sharp, the C sharp, and the B sharp on the second 16th note, and the final 16th note is another C sharp. It kind of smooths it all out. I'm sure you could hear that in my recording. A couple other things to think about. Again, nothing is very loud, so just beautiful, beautiful sound all the way through. Thank goodness some of it's repetitive. One other breath I want to comment about. This one is if you need it, which you probably will by the time you get to the end of the piece. Notice this G sharp has a dot on it. This does not mean we play this note super short. It just means it's separated, because that's what staccato means, is separation. So it's a little separated from this E, which means if we have to sneak a little breath in here, we can. And of course, one final breath to make it all the way to the end and to diminuendo on your beautiful low C sharp. This is actually quite a lovely piece to play, and I hope you enjoy it. I know it's kind of intimidating looking because of the key signature and the double sharps and things like that, but this is how we grow. So have fun. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I hope this performance has been helpful to you in preparing for your audition. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me at the University of South Alabama. I'd be happy to help you. Good luck on your audition.